but Tiki Snobs, what does a Tiki Snob look like? What does a Tiki Snob do? And maybe we can differentiate a Tiki Snob from like, you know, the light side of the force, like the Tiki Jedi who are doing it right. So what's the difference between like a Tiki Snob and a Tiki Jedi?
I think a Tiki Snob is just someone who thinks Tiki is one thing and only one thing, and if it's not eclectic enough or crazy enough, then they won't label it as Tiki. And I think that Tiki is something that is always evolving. I mean, it has evolved since, its beginning. It's been, just a mishmash of like all kinds of things and cultures. And I think it's better to accept it for what it is and for where it's going to, and allow it to become what it is instead of like pinholing it into one specific thing.
Brandon, do you have any thoughts on Tiki Snobs?
Yeah, I think what Kim's saying, like more of a Tiki purist, right? Yeah. And so historically, some people expect Tiki and Tiki bars to meet this certain aesthetic or certain drink menu. And I do believe in that too. I think a Tiki bar has to have many elements to really be considered a true Tiki bar. However, to what Kim was saying though too, is like, not every bar is Don the Beachcomber. Not every bar is a Trader Vic's, and Trader Vic's wasn't Don the Beachcomber either, and the Luau wasn't Trader Vic's, and this was just the evolution back, 70 years ago, and we continue to see that with more modern takes on Tiki, or the removal of Tiki imagery and more kind of tropical cocktail bars. But, as long as there's still a solid rum and Tiki cocktail menu, to me, it's like, that's really Tiki. So a lot of people don't want to embrace that because it doesn't look like a Trader Vic's, or it doesn't feel like, I don't know, their favorite bar that might be, 30, 40 years old. But, we have to respect that even 70 years ago when Tiki was still evolving, it wasn't a copycat of each other. They were pushing the envelope and introducing new elements. It just so happens that 70 years later, in 2023, with everything else considered, is people are pushing the envelope in terms of the aesthetic and how they want to represent Tiki. So Tiki Snobs or Tiki purists like definitely like to think that Tiki is in a time capsule, and not to say, not to say that Holly Pele is filled with these people. I don't know. I don't want to say anything wrong about that, but they're out there, and yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting context. And I mean, I think maybe we can give these people a little bit of, some benefit of the doubt, in that, like, if what we're saying is that, the vibe is something that we enjoy, and being comfortable and feeling like you are around like-minded people is something that makes you comfortable and kind of contributes to that laid back feeling that so many Tiki enthusiasts enjoy, then, perhaps, not feeling like things are in constant flux and change is represents a little bit of anxiety, right? Like, oh, I like this thing, I want that thing exactly every time. But it does, again, seem to run contrary to, Kim, as you pointed out, Tiki as sort of this living, evolving organism that, guess what? Things are changing. There are people who are, really changing things up and asking interesting questions and making changes to aesthetics. Like Doom Tiki might be a great example, with sort of like the death metal aesthetic. So